Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, EmeraldPlanet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the EmeraldPlanet, Dr. Sam Lee.
Hello, and thank you for being with us as we come to you from Washington, D.C., looking around the globe in 143 different nations, looking at the processes, the products, the technologies, and the people that are making a change in the 21st century. This 21st century has many challenges as we look around the globe. The whole notion of food, energy, water, and many other challenges. And what are we going to do? What type of technologies and processes are we going to be using to bring about an increased quality of life for the 7 billion plus souls that we have on this planet, instead of just trying to eke by? And so what we're doing in our best practices search is looking at those countries that are actually providing the leadership. And we have a very surprising country, Austria. It's in Southern Europe, who is actually being very progressive and probably one of the most progressive countries in Europe. I've been well indoctrinated, Mr. Ambassador. But we have with us His Excellency, the Ambassador, Dr. Christian Prosl, who is the Ambassador at the Embassy of Austria from the Republic of Austria. And welcome back. It's been 9 months since you were here.
Indeed. Thank you very much for having me back.
And we're glad you're here, and thank you for coming to share, because there's just so many exciting things going on with your country of Austria. 8 million people, but yet it's providing leadership for a area that has over 300 million citizens. So that's a lot of heavy lifting that's going on in your country. So let's bring up, we have the first slide here talking about where you are in Europe. Tell us a little bit about the location and a little bit about Austria, and then we'll get started about this whole thing of renewables and the energy that's going on in Austria.
Thank you. Well, Austria is in the heart of Europe, in the center, so to speak. We are a member of the European Union, an area of 500 million people. And I think we are doing fine. It's mostly known for its culture, but also for its high technology reach. And I think we're also doing fine. We're not only good in music, but also in technology.
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic. And we have the best example of Carinthia. It's going to be coming on later today. And these are some of your countrymen that came all the way from Austria to be with us. So we're very pleased to have them here. But tell us a little bit about this area. Why is this area special as far as Austria itself is concerned?
Well, Carinthia is a most touristic area. Wonderful mountains, skiing, but wonderful lakes. You can drink the water from the Carinthian lakes without getting sick. So it's a wonderful area. But it's also an area where they promote high-tech and different not only promotions, they are also implementing certain technologies where they want to get the top. Yeah. And I think it's one of the 3 most advanced provinces in Austria in that region.
No, that's absolutely fantastic. And of course, your whole nation is really moving forward. It's one of the policies of Austria that by 2050, you want to be 100% independent. And this is something that I first told my countrymen in the United States in 1973. Now, we're 2.5 times worse than what we were, and Austria is moving in the exact opposite direction, so congratulations for all that. But talk about this mix here as far as the renewables that you have and how you're doing that in such a small country.
Well, we want to become, as you said, energy independent by 2050. And still we are net importers of energy. So what do? We try to replace the energy that we have to import by local, mostly renewable energy, and now we have a share of 30% of renewable energy. So this is mostly hydro energy because we have the mountains and the rivers, but growing and even more growing biomass because we use the pellets from our forests, but we also use wind and we use sun. Basically what Mother Nature produces, we use it because we know that tomorrow Mother Nature will reproduce the same thing for all of us.
Well, and I think that goes, Mr. Ambassador, when you're looking at as far as this whole notion of green jobs and bringing economic stability to the public. If you're using what you have locally, You're not exporting your hard currency to buy, petrochemicals, coal, and other kinds of things. It just makes economic sense that you would use your own resources and not have to keep importing.
Well, absolutely. Well, we think that skyscrapers are not built from the top, but from the bottom. So we use what we have in our country on several sites, and then we make a networking and develop our new technology.
Well, looking at this site here, this is Gussing is one of your provinces that you have, or states, and it's quite impressive that you already have one that's leading the way since 2001. They've already been energy independent.
Well, this is an interesting case. Gussing is a city of 30,000 people. 20 years ago, people were emigrating and were leaving the city. And then they decided we try to become energy independent. Mm-hmm. And that's what they did. And now they created over 1,000 jobs. And they export the energy they create. So they have an annual revenue of $10 million every year. So I think they made it's a big success.
Well, the whole thing about it, too, is that actually I see there about the environmentally most friendly town and most innovative municipality in Austria. But, this is really the best example. It could be used around the globe. So looking at Gussing, how could what they're doing there be shared around the globe besides just the EmeraldPlanet television? What other things are going on to bring these best practices to the world?
I think we have to start from both ends. First, in the production of energy, as I said, we have in Austria a lot of wood, so we do biomass, pellets, but also rapsoil and biodiesel. So this is the one side. But on the other side, we also try to reduce the energy consumption. So
energy conservation is really a big effort in Austria.
That's right. So we have, per capita, we are the country with the highest passive houses, meaning low energy houses. So on both sides we try to reduce the energy, once to get the energy from renewable sources, and the other side to reduce the energy output, the necessity for energy. And in particular, this goes, of course, then for transportation, and then we come to electronic cars and things like that.
Well, the whole thing about it, too, is when you're looking at it, many people are just looking at the production of energy, but if you reduce the amount you need to consume, and I think this is a really good idea that you have, Mr. Ambassador, because they're producing it, they're reducing the amount they have to use for themselves, so then they can export it to other parts of Austria. And I guess it could, being in the EU, could actually go beyond your borders.
Of course.
Into other countries, so it's green energy that's being exported.
We have a house in 6,000 feet up in the mountains that does not need energy because it's a low energy house and it is built, and even in the wintertime you feel comfortable.
Oh, I tell you, it's just absolutely incredible. Looking at the biomass, this is something in this photograph that we have here, this gentleman standing in front of these plants. I know this is really a big effort. But not too far from here in Central Virginia, I'm on the board of Longwood University, and they've been using these pellets since about 1985, and so they heat and run the entire campus through this type of biomass.
Yeah, well, the pellets is the advantage when you have large forestry.
Right. We have been maintaining our forest and conservation and managing forestry for over 200 years, and actually Austria is covered by over 50% by forests. And we know that whenever we log a tree, the next day we plant another one. So it's really a managing of the resources that Mother Nature provides to us. Well, looking at this whole thing, too, as far as planting the new trees and what you're doing as far as keeping these renewables, it looks like Austria, there being in the center of Europe, is actually this giant green lung that's sitting out there. It's being able to absorb the carbon. Fuses it in the ground. It actually enhances the growth of the trees. Absolutely true. Is there any movement within Austria, or could you share that with our viewing audience about any carbon credits or anything that Austria is doing from that standpoint? Well, we are following the decisions that were taken on the EU level, but I think what is more important is that on the local level, we do our job. I mean, we have all these targets, that is very nice, but we really want to show that it's possible. We have not only Gussing as a region that is independent in energy, but we have 65 other regions that are more or less already independent or on the way.
And the government is subsidizing this because we think that in the long run it benefits to everybody. It benefits us, but it benefits the energy consumption, the costs are reduced, but also of course, the climate. And I think that is a subject that touches us all.
Well, actually, you're using this term subsidizing, and of course, maybe it is a transfer from the central government out into these provinces, these local areas, but actually you could look at it more as an investment, because you're reducing your dependency on imported oil, natural gas, and coal, any other carbon energy. And so that means more money is spent within the nation itself, so it makes a much more sound economic base for Austria versus what other countries are faced with right now.
You're absolutely right. First, we created jobs, and we create jobs, green jobs. And second, we have probably the lowest unemployment rate in Europe. We have 4.3% unemployment. This is certainly one of the factors that contribute that we have this low unemployment.
Well, looking at this map here, this is interesting concept of these skyscrapers you have for energy independence. Tell us a little about what these dots mean and how this relates to not only just Austria, but the rest of Central Europe.
Well, the green dots are those who are already on the way to energy independence. The yellow ones are those where there is a program supported by the government, as you say, where we invest in this. And the blue ones is where we have already electric car possibilities. So I think that shows that we are on a good way, actually, on a good road.
Well, I want to go to this one because I've been told by the production crew that within the last minute I have to have whatever the last slide it is. And we certainly don't want to miss your Minister of Energy. He may get after both of us. So tell us a little about this and the e-car he's driving, and that's going to lead us right into Carinthia and the eMobility initiatives that they're taking within that state.
Well, it is important for us that we have these e-cars because, as I said, it is the transportation is responsible for 30% of CO2 emissions.
Correct.
So the less emissions we have, the better it is, of course. And with electric cars, we have zero emissions. This is one thing. And second, since we can produce the electricity and have it on everywhere, it is also easy to plug in the car and just refill it with energy, which is clean, and we drive a clean car.
Well, the whole thing about this is we're looking at this is actually green energy that you're putting in a green car. So it's just a multiplication effort that's going on in Austria. Thank you for being with us as we look around the globe at the best practices and those nations are leading the way as we create the Emerald Planet.
I helped turn my child's public school into a whole new kind of school. One with a curriculum that really motivates kids. One that has extended hours, 6 days a week, year-round. With loads of academic, cultural, and recreational activities. One that has support services like medical and dental right there. A school where parents' involvement is encouraged. Where teachers have more time to teach. And students are excited about learning. There's just one problem. My child doesn't ever want to come home. You can help turn your school into a community school for excellence. Find out how. Call 1-877-LOVE-TO-LEARN.
It's coming right to your neighborhood. And when it does, you may be surprised. It's your Social Security statement of your benefits, and it's going to help you plan your financial future. Your benefit statement will tell you how much Social Security you're eligible to receive and when you'll get it. Then you'll know how much you need to save for retirement, because that's coming too. The future is in your hands. Choose to save.
The toxic fumes from this meth lab are seeping into Jamie's sinus cavity. Ammonia vapors invade her throat. Toxic gases fill her lungs. Jamie's body is deteriorating. And she doesn't even know it.
Jamie, dinner.
So, who has the drug problem now? Find out how meth affects you at drugfree.org/meth.
One day these rats were playing in the listen to smoke before you give it a try.
Only you.
Don't play with matches, don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about rooftop life, nothing very nice.
With us on EmeraldPlanet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States, and we look around the globe in 143 different nations looking for the best practices, the technologies, the products, and the people that are leading the way as we move through the 21st century. As you know, EmeraldPlanet, we come to you looking at those people that are really helping us to identify those best practices. And so we have two gentlemen coming from Carinthia in southern Austria that have traveled a long distance to be with us. And we have Dr. Albert Kreiner, who is the director, a very long title here, the Economic Law and Infrastructure Department in Carinthia in Austria. And I'm going to call you Albert, if that's okay. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you, Sam, that I'm allowed to be here from Carinthia, crossing the Atlantic. And our governor, Mr. Dörfler, told me to bring you a little gift with me, and therefore I am allowed to give you this photovoltaic watch as a gift.
Well,
it's produced in Carinthia, it's designed in Carinthia to show that Carinthia will do many things for being independent in energy and doing something in electromobility.
Well, I'm going to leave this here because we had a very good conversation as we traveled around Washington, D.C. yesterday, and we had a really good talk about the industries that you have, and I know that you're the director of the Economic Law and Infrastructure, but as an attorney, you're in charge of so many engineers. So I want you to share with our viewing audience, because I really think this is the best practice. We don't normally favor attorneys on our program, but this whole balance of what is going on in the 21st century between legal, intellectual property, and the engineering has real relevance in the 21st century. Can you talk about this balance and how you work with the engineers that you have on your staff of about 80 people?
Yeah, my Department 7 has 80 highly qualified experts. It's a real mix of scientists, engineers, and lawyers. And it's very difficult sometimes to put together the different kinds of thinking. And for me as a lawyer, it's a real great challenge to do this. And for many things, we are doing some progress in developing the things.
Well, I think this is really beautiful. Looking at this Liebherr's land here, I just love this absolutely photograph, because this is really a very ancient colony of Rome, goes back thousands of years in your area. But here you are, a very traditional ancient area, leading the way for energy efficiency and renewable energy sources in the 21st century. Tell us about that balance, how you're blending this very old area and culture with a very progressive attitude towards renewables and the eMobility project you have going.
Carinthia has a very old cultural heritage, and to be armed for the future demands, we have to develop and to do some research to be fit for the future. And our Lebensland project is translated with living land, but I like to prefer the word country worth living. And that is the symbol of our project, to be a mix of history and future. And our most important stages in the project are establishing a functioning infrastructure of charging stations for eMobility. Nowadays, we have already 200 charging stations in public space. Everybody in Carinthia can it use for free, get the energy for free. We want to introduce cars in Carinthia and to arise the awareness of the people for electromobility. And the third thing, we arrange the biggest trade fair in center of Europe for this electromobility. And now this history with very old culture, we have, our ambassador told us, we have wonderful mountains, we have water to drink, and this alpine climate with summer heat that's very good preconditions for doing the future.
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic, and we have some photographs of some of the projects that you're talking about. But the interesting part is not only are you in the southern area of Austria, and you're able to influence the central part of Europe, but also you have a number of neighbors, just like Slovenia and other countries that are around you. And so looking at that area, we have these e-mobile bicycles and motorcycles and other things that really are for recreation that you have to enjoy this great outdoors that you have throughout Carinthia.
Yeah, we have many bicycle paths, and therefore electric bikes. We designed and we developed one with an Austrian producer. We call it Carinthia, and our governor, you see it on the picture already, shows to our neighbors in Slovenia and Italy. Also, we have the highest mountain of Austria in Carinthia, the so-called Großglockner, and it's to prove that electromobility will function. We drove our electric car the slopey roads up to the Großglockner. It's about 3,700 meters high.
And I tell you, that is up there too, because you multiply that by 3, it's about between 9,000 and 10,000 feet above sea level to those that are not using the metric system. But this is absolutely a fantastic photograph. And of course, this is some of the glaciers that you have. And of course, that adds to the water that is being used as far as the hydroelectric schemes within Carinthia itself, which is one of the 8 states of Austria. But this is absolutely a stunning photograph. Tell us about this.
Yeah, that's Klagenfurt, the capital city of Carinthia. It has only 95,000 inhabitants, but we want to put photovoltaic modules on the roofs of the houses in Carinthia and in Klagenfurt. And near Klagenfurt, there will be constructed the hugest photovoltaic power plant of Austria. In May this year, we start with the construction.
Oh, that is absolutely incredible. And what is really interesting about this photograph, if we can put that back in the center, is that I think you said now was about 43% of the power in Carinthia now is being made by renewables. And so if we're looking at the lights in this one, 43% of all this is now being powered from resources within Austria itself, not having to be imported, and also it's very green energy.
Yes, our ambassador told you that Austria have a quota of 30.1% of renewable energy. Europe is below 20%, and Carinthia has a quota of 43%. And that shows that we have the real mix of something the nature produces, we use for our future. We use hydropower, we use photovoltaic, we use wind plant, and therefore we show the future, we show something to develop with research, and one special thing we also have in education. Our high school, our university, we work really perfectly together.
Well, I think it's really fantastic. In this photograph, we have this head of the sunflower here, and I think this is a perfect image as far as Carinthia. You have this great out of doors, you have this beautiful nature, and so, but then right behind it, you have this very modern technology. It's being used to collect the sun, and as you were saying, using the wind and then the hydroelectric schemes. So there's really a great balance, a great mix that's going on within your area. But this is the scene that this really caught me when I first saw this about a week or so ago. Knowing that this was an old Roman area, you could almost see the legionnaires marching through this valley, and yet here you have this very modern charging station for the electric car sitting right in the middle of all this.
Yeah, here with this photograph you can see that nature meets technology. And we designed this charging station to fix it in the nature, to make it a furniture of nature with its forms and the green E on it. And you see, all charging stations in Carinthia should have this form.
Okay, and also you were telling me, I believe I learned before that many of the old telephone boxes, because people all moved to cell phones, where they were, you're actually converting those out and making those electric car and motorcycles and bicycles too, charging stations. So that's a very efficient use of the infrastructure that already exists, and then you're adding all this new infrastructure into what you're doing. So again, going back, Albert, to what you're doing, this seems like there's a very delicate balance to what you're doing, and then you look at this charging station and how this really fits. Artistically, this is just a very lovely way to address the future of the 21st century.
We want to show the people that electromobility functions. Our aim is to take away the fear of the use of electromobility and to really show the people that there are chances for the future. There are opportunities, advantages of sustainable electric transport. That's our duty for the future.
Well, I think this is something that the United States needs to be looking at this and taking lessons, because there's a lot of resistance here saying you really can't do it. And of course, there's another movement saying in 5 years that we could be energy independent if we had something at the Manhattan or the Apollo size scale projects with a very big country. But I know this is something that's in the planning stage as far as these windmills that you have here, and looking at this. How does this fit into the mix of what it is you're doing, the wind, solar, hydro, and all that?
Carinthia, of course, the highest part of renewable energy is water. Water comes out of the nature. We have many hydro power plants. The second is photovoltaic, because Austria is in the southern, Carinthia is in the southern part of Austria, and we have enough sun for photovoltaic. Even for thermic energy, we use the solar energy, and wind is the third part of the mix. Today, we are planning a wind plant, power plant on a mountain, and it should like this photograph you show.
Well, I'll tell you, this is absolutely beautiful, and this is really a great way to close out this particular segment, and looking at the eMobility and what you're actually doing in Carinthia. In about the 30 seconds we have left, Dr. Kreiner, what would you like to share with our domestic and international viewers about Carinthia and its leading the way to the 21st century?
I want to show that even a small region like Carinthia it is, we can demonstrate many technology things, can put a mix of technology and renewable energy. And our credo is nowhere in Europe it should be as convenient and easy to use electromobility as in Carinthia.
Well, I think this is absolutely fantastic as we look around the globe, how we can create the EmeraldPlanet, looking at the renewables as we lead the way with best practices. Thank you.
This is firstgov.gov, where we're obsessed with getting you government information.
Brand new student loan applications on the site, baby. This calls for a celebration. Where's your uncle?
So in the end, it was either take the astronaut gig or come work here. What can I say? Duty called.
Dude, that's my cop.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that's Sam's cop.
Oh, sorry?
Yeah. No. Sam's? No.
Just log on or email us and get what you need.
C, change of address form. That's how it's done.
D, driver's license renewal.
E, emailing Social Security information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice, we'll allow it. All right, Ed.
What are those? Government surplus cars for auction.
You posted those online last time.
No, you did.
I'm posting them online this time!
For all your government information, firstgov.gov.
Oh, what have we got here? Sometimes you feel tired. You can't seem to lose those extra pounds off your midsection. And your joints hurt when you take the stairs? Well, you're getting older. But I'm happy to say that there's some simple things we can do to keep you happy and healthy for years to come. We can also lower your risk for some serious diseases the older population is often subject to. Proper nutrition is more important than ever. Your body has changed, you know. Not as many treats. A basic exercise plan, lots of walks and fresh air, and most importantly, come and see me for twice-yearly checkups to help ensure the best possible quality of life. Now, how does that sound? Good boy.
Improve the quality of life for your elderly pet. Schedule twice yearly checkups that include preventive care and regular lab work. The message from the veterinary members of the American Animal Hospital Association.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Thank you for being with us as we come to you from Washington, D.C. and the United States as we look around the globe in 143 different nations looking for the best practices that can be used. And seeking those best practices, many times we have to go to nations across the ways, sometimes 7,000, 10,000 miles away from where we are in Washington, D.C., to find some of those very best practices that can be used that are actually leading the way for many other communities, some 50,000 different communities we cover through the Emerald Planet. And how can we bring together these best practices to those who actually need those? And so we have a guest who came a long way to be with us on this particular program, Gerald Miklin, who is the Vice President of the Institute of Technology, and also he's within the Department of Infrastructure in Carinthia in southern Austria. And Gerald, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here. Now we have these 5 symbols behind us. I know this is all ties in with the 5 pillars that you've developed in Carinthia, this one of the 8 states in Austria. Tell us about each of these and a little bit about a couple of these designs on here I think are very intriguing, particularly the charging station. I really like that idea.
Yeah, the 5 pillars are the foundings of the foundation of the project Lebensland Kärnten. And the first and the most important for the first steps are the charging stations. They are 2.6 meters high, that you can see the light on the top from everywhere.
And let's focus on this one right now because I think this is just a really clever design because not only do you have it, it looks like a seat because as I understand from Albert, the director of this whole program, this is kind of like sitting in nature, but also the E just symbolizes what you're doing as far as the E, the green, the
Yes.
eMobility, the whole theme of what's going on in your whole area of Carinthia.
Yeah, the green E, it's no E, it's a cut-it plug on the top, and it's green because green is a positive color, and in the traffic, red is always negative, and green is positive.
Now look at these other 4 pillars, and then let's go in. You have a lot of slides, and a lot of material to cover, so let's go over these
So
other
the second pillar, we go right, is the green energy. We heard many things about green energy from my boss. And the most important is we have much green energy, but the green energy we at the moment produce, we need. So for every new energy we want to consume by driving electric vehicles, we have to produce this energy new in green.
Right, and doing it within Carinthia itself, which keeps the financing and reduces the amount of money that you're actually exporting overseas. Looking at these other 3 symbols, what are we looking at here?
The next, the euro sign, are foundings. We are paying foundings to our inhabitants for buying electric vehicles. For us, it makes more sense to give the money to the inhabitants than to the companies, because by giving the money to the inhabitants, the demand increases, and then the next is not only the money is important and not only the buying, you have to serve the customers further with maintenance. It's hard work to build a net of maintenance. And the 5th is information. Information is the point with the biggest workload. We have to inform the people. We have to gather information from experts around the world. We want to give the inhabitants the experience, what it means to drive an electric vehicle. On this picture, we see two vehicles of our fleet the Carinthians can borrow for a week for free to get this totally new experience to drive an electric vehicle.
And also, this is in front of a high school.
Yeah, this is in front of a high school. We are in touch with all the schools in Carinthia and the universities, and they are very, very interested in these new technologies.
Looking at your bicycles.
Yeah, also for the pillar information, we do things like Senza Confini tour, a tour with electric vehicles through 3 countries. Started with an electric car in Austria, changed to an electric moped to drive from Villach to Italy, and then with this 4 bicycles to Slovenia. The green energy is very important to make the inhabitants, to increase the trust to this new technology. And they also, if they don't believe that we produce green energy, they will not buy the electric vehicles.
Well, looking at this too, this is very important that you're producing these jobs and the and the energy within Katrina itself. So it's really important that you have this kind of work. And looking at these mountain peaks here, these glaciers are really feeding into the water base of
Yes.
Carinthia.
Yes, we have in Carinthia are only a few places, but we have many power plants in the mountains and with lakes in the mountains, and they pump the water across to produce green energy.
Well, looking at Carinthia and the leadership it's providing to the world, I know that you're providing seminars to people from all over the globe.
Yes. We every year we invited speakers from all over the world to our new mobility forum, a congress, a very important congress for us to gather information, to get good experts with good knowledge to Carinthia, to learn from them, and then to give this knowledge to the people. We have a trade fair also every year where the consumers can test the vehicles indoor. It's a wonderful experience for most of the inhabitants to test a moped indoor, because normally it's loud, it stinks, and they can do it there.
Well, I want to go back to this photograph we had before, because I think this is really instructive about Carinthia, the leadership that you have through your director there. But what you're doing is you're looking at to have this two-way exchange. So it's like you're developing these best practices in Carinthia. You're sharing this to the globe, but at the same time you're inviting people in and allowing them to share with you. And so you're providing this two-way forum within Carinthia itself. And so what is the mindset, the thinking that actually brought this about? Why create this two-way exchange?
I think it's very important to stay open-minded and to learn everything new. This upcoming market is so fast that you never can know everything. And so you have to ask experts all over the world, because they invent everything.
Well, looking at this, I think this is really instructive here, that we've had some of these slides and looked at the beauty of your area, because it's a very wide open area, the mountains and the lakes and all that. But I think putting this together, again, having this in English so it goes around the globe, this is really a good way to educate a greater public, millions of people in many other communities.
We recognize that many English-speaking people wants to enter our homepage, and so we naturally translate it from German in English, and 3 further languages should be offered in short, with the logical languages from our neighbors, with Slovenia, Italy, and then Croatia.
Well, I think this is something really exciting. When you think of e-mobility, you don't think of these super sports cars, but understand that this actually is not just fast. This is actually super fast.
Yes, yes.
Tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here.
This is the newest car from eWolf Cars. Is a car with 900 Newton meters on the X, and it needs 8.3 seconds from 0 to 200 kilometers per hour. And in early 2012, everyone can buy it.
Oh, this is absolutely incredible. This is really a beautiful car. But looking at this as far as the promotion, we see your charging station in this. We have the vehicles. This is a Mercedes, so Mercedes is getting very green and going high end. But also looking at the charging station itself, how does all this really fit in? And I know you have over these 200 different charging areas throughout not only just the cities, but also out in the rural areas as well. How is this actually being supported, and you're providing the infrastructure to the greater public?
We have a strong partner in the country with the energy provider from the city of Klagenfurt, who helps us.
Which is your capital city for Carinthia.
Yes, yes, the capital city. He helps us to manage all the electric things in the charging stations. But we are still the owner of the charging stations.
And so this actually goes back to the state itself.
Yes.
That actually owns all those. Well, looking at this, and we're going to getting down to towards the end of this particular segment, but what are we looking at here, and how is this really paving the way for the future as far as making the green energy, e-mobility more acceptable to the general public?
On this picture, we also see an eWolf car. It's a Formula 3 racing car, and eWolf recognized first that we only can catch the inhabitants by good emotions, not by technical specifications or something like that. The inhabitants have to see that e-mobility is fun, e-mobility is something new, and with e-mobility you can do things you never can do with a combustion engine.
Well, looking at this as our last slide here, and seeing the energy, the color, and everything that's going on, and of course I like the attitude that you have, because Gerald, you've been very modest about this. You're actually the one that came up with this idea and really started pushing this forward as far as Carinthia is concerned, and really worked with your administration to have this. We have just about 10 seconds. What would you like to leave with our international viewing public?
I want to leave them that in every region e-mobility can happen.
I think that's really a great message you have. This is Gerald Miklin, Vice President, Institute of Technology, coming all the way from Carinthia, Austria. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for being with us as well as we look around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.
Osama bin Laden calls getting nuclear weapons a religious duty.
Today, materials that can be used to make nuclear weapons are stored in more than 40 countries.
Sometimes protected by just a chain-link fence.
Yet not enough is being done to lock down these materials
before terrorists steal them.
Why did we learn all this?
My mother.
My son.
My sister-in-law.
Were all murdered September 11th.
Help protect America.
Together we can.
Please join us.
The stem cell issue is being debated throughout the country. Truth is, most everyone has an opinion, even if they don't know the facts.
Let's stop arguing and start really understanding the potential of stem cell research.
For us and for millions of Americans living with disabilities, get the facts.
Call 1-877-842-3442 for free information from the Stem Cell Research Foundation. That's 1-877-842-3442.
Following the tragic events of September 11th, there have been hundreds of violent attacks against innocent Americans.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
Remember, please stop the hate.
We're stronger when we are united.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
One nation, under God.
Indivisible.
With liberty.
And justice.
For all.
In America, there's either room for everyone, or it's not America. Don't pick the wrong fight.
Let's keep America land of the free.
Stop the hate.
Planning a home renovation? Put this at the top of your to-do list. Because after 10 years, none of you are protected against tetanus and another potentially fatal disease, diphtheria. A minor injury, such as a cut or a scrape, can put you at risk for a tetanus infection. And while safety gear offers some protection, an up-to-date vaccination called the TD booster is the best insurance against tetanus. So get the TD booster. If it's been 10, do it again.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Thank you for being with us again as we come to you from Washington, D.C., looking around the globe and many different nations, looking for those best practices that are going to help us carry through to the 21st century. Not a 21st century of nothing but challenges and what are we going to stay at plateau, but actually moving forward to a higher quality of life. One that balances the economy, balances the environment, and also the enhancement of civil society. We have the country of Austria, which is actually the green heart of Europe. We have their ambassador here, and this is he just loves to hear these kinds of things. But we can say that really Austria is leading the way as far as what's going on in the world. And as one of the 143 nations that we're working with, EmeraldPlanet, this really is a gem. And so thank you for being here, Mr. Ambassador, who is His Excellency, Dr. Christian Prosl. We have Dr. Albert Kreiner, two doctors in a row here. He's the Director of Economic Law and Infrastructure for Carinthia in Austria. And then we have the Vice President for the Institute of Technology, Gerald Miklin. And he is the one that came up with this idea as far as the eMobility in this whole area of Carinthia. But Mr. Ambassador, I'm going to start off with here with you because we think about the tree huggers, and that was kind of a negative attitude about 20 years ago, and where we're going with the environment and all that. But Austria has really just taken this whole notion of the eMobility, renewable energy, and gone so far beyond what we think of classically as the environment and economic development that really you're almost absorbing the environment and then putting it back better than what you found it. Tell us about that, and what is about this feeling, the way to enhance nature, not just use nature?
Well, I think basically it shows that we can do it. We can do it because we have not all the energy resources in the world, but we have some that we use. We have a government that is using these resources to help us also to put in the infrastructure and the subsidies, investment, if you want to say. And thirdly, we have the people who are prepared to use it. So basically, it's a win-win-win situation, and we show the world it is possible. That's what the message is, and that's what we're living.
Well, Dr. Kreiner, as Director of Economic Law and Infrastructure as far as Carinthia is concerned, I know that you brought me some of this information with you. Excellent done. And if you please share with your governor, I really appreciate his special watch that he sent over. But I know that you've really been working very diligently to be able to go beyond your borders of Carinthia to all of Austria, to Europe, and now to the world through the EmeraldPlanet. Why do you have this as your mission to carry this message all over the globe when you could just say, you know, we're going to take care of our citizens right here at home?
I think that our fossil fuel will have an end, and therefore we should take something that nature something that nature provides, and we should give it back to the nature. And Austria has resources which are in the nature. We don't have coal or oil. But therefore, we should show the world that we can do something where nature meets technology, where nature meets research and development. And we want to show the United States that the United States also can do it.
Well, and actually, that's a mighty lesson that we really need to learn from Austria, because I started EmeraldPlanet, or the idea back in 1973 with the first Arab oil embargo. And as we were joking yesterday with the delegation from Carinthia, Mr. Ambassador, we're 2.5 times worse than what we were in 1973. And you guys in Austria are just absolutely out of the gate. and moving forward in a very positive way. So I want to say congratulations to your country, but also to Carinthia for being willing to come and share with us. But Gerald, being the Vice President with the Institute of Technology, I know you're involved in a lot of these, the trade fairs, these exchanges that are going back and forth around the globe, and you've been responsible for a lot of that and working with Dr. Kreiner there. What is Carinthia learning from the world that you've been able to incorporate in your process there?
It's always possible to learn from other people, and other people do things different. And we think we do the things we do good, but maybe we could do it better. And so we have to go to the world and talk to the people, look at their practices, and then learn from them.
Well, Dr. Kreiner, Albert, as we got to know each other yesterday, I know this balance with being a lawyer, working with all these engineers, and you have many MBAs and others on your staff. I know these are one of the things that you've been very conscious about, is how do you take these very good ideas, the 43% now that you're using as far as renewables for your energy base, and to continue to expand and grow that to the 100% that you want. What kind of things are you doing to bring this balance, and how do you think Carinthia then in turn can take this out to the world, like the United States and many other countries?
First of all, it is very important that everybody is open-minded. And also our system of electromobility and renewable energy is an open-minded system. We don't want to build monopolies, but we want to give some stimulating impulses for the economy. And this is the way we talk with the European Union. We are part of the European Union, and a most successful European framework of peace, and therefore it's necessary to talk with each other, to learn of the other nations, and in this way, like a snowball effect, it will spread all over the world, because I think nowadays the climate change is too earnest to be a fun, and therefore we try to convince the people of other nations, of other regions. And therefore, it's our real, earnest effort to make Carinthia energy independent.
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I can say this in front of your ambassador. It's quite impressive, even though you have 8 states. These 2 individuals came here to share their knowledge here and abroad. But looking at this photograph, I mean, there's a great deal as far as the emotion, and I wanted to trigger off of what Albert was saying there, that it's too serious to be really fun, but if it's not fun, you can't incorporate it into the family unit. It's hard to really look at it, because it's always, you have to do this, you have to do that. But Austria, you think of being very dedicated, very focused on, taking care of business. But yet, you've really taken this, so it really is fun.
Well, it is not only fun, but everybody can do it. It's a question of individual freedom. We are free, each of us, to do something, and we show it's possible.
And we do it with passion.
Oh, and that's obvious that you've really done that with passion. And Gerald, this is one of the things that you and I were talking about yesterday when we were touring around Washington, D.C., this whole notion of bringing everybody into the mix and getting involved. I know that this was your idea originally as far as bringing this eMobility. Looking at eMobility, how do you think the lessons learned, are you going to be able to share these with other countries and other communities around the globe?
Yes, we want to share these because we think many regions have not the knowledge now, and they want to learn. And we use the homepage for this, and if someone wants, we can consult.
Oh, okay, that's really good. Albert, looking at this whole notion of the eMobility, what do you think are, doing as a recap, what are some of the real benefits that you feel that you've actually brought into your state and also to the citizens that live, the 500,000 plus that live in your area?
Carinthia is a small region, And the benefit is that it's not only a town we want to try to push e-mobility, it's the whole region. And one of the benefits is there's no noise. In the central cities, it's a silence there, and it should be there if e-mobility will spread over the country. And no emission, because we produce the energy which is necessary from renewable resources.
Well, looking at all this, Dr. Prosl, as the ambassador for Austria and the United States, I'm sure you're constantly getting asked about these ideas. Austria is a small country, it's in the middle of Europe, but yet you really have a mighty task to carry forward. And being the ambassador for Austria and a country that's many times that size, what is the message that you really want to get across to our viewers here in the United States, but all over the globe that's listening to the Emerald Planet?
I think we have a wonderful country. We are proud of that country. We want to keep it clean, and it is possible to do it. And the message is basically it is possible if everybody tries with the help. And we have the bottom-up approach. Everybody can do it. We help. They are helping. The government is helping. And then we have responsibility for our blue or green planet.
Yes.
And that's what we are trying to do. We show we can do it.
Gerald, looking at what we're doing, list about 3 or 4 things that you feel that maybe immediately the leaders and the communities around the globe that watching the Emerald Planet, that's something they could do very easily, quickly, but yet would be of great benefit.
Maybe at first they try to inform their inhabitants that e-mobility is no dream, it's there.
It's just like the Mr. Ambassador was saying. It's something anyone can do it.
Yeah.
And it's just really a fact of going forth and doing it, right?
Yeah. You can buy the vehicles, you can buy the charging stations, you can do it, and billions of dollars lie in this market.
Albert, I think you want to hop in here or something. You look like you want to.
Oh, no.
You want to share.
Of course, because really, as Gerald already said, everybody can do it, and we want to be part of this project. And Limsland will show that we can do it, but not in a way which is highly scientific, but in a praxis way, and a practical way. We want to show to everybody that it works.
Well, I think this is just absolutely fantastic, because the best practices, Mr. Ambassador, you and I have been talking about, the 1,000 we're looking for around the globe, these all need to be things that are very practical, can be done across thousands of different communities as we're facing the globe. And I think Austria truly is being a leader in everything it's doing. And this whole notion of Carinthia, as far as what you're doing, as far as sharing your homeland and sharing the ancient culture and the balance, I think is really to be commended. And so we really want to spread your language, and we're going to help you do that. So thank you for being with us as we look around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.